Hello and welcome to the June 7th weekly JupyterLab call. Today we have 11 people on the call, and please find the agenda in the chat, and if there's something you want to talk about, please add it to the agenda. I put my name on here first, but that's because the agenda was empty. Maybe it's better if I go second. So how about we get started with Jason W.
Oh yeah, sure. So thanks to everyone who helped with the JupyterLab 4.0 blog post. That was published earlier this week. I know we tried to have it published by Project Jupyter, but I have the byline. That wasn't intentional, but I'm grateful for everyone's support for that. So we also tweeted about it, so please boost that up. Get more exposure for that. We've already gotten a lot of engagement on that. And yeah, thanks everyone for your support there. I don't think I have anything else on my agenda.
Awesome. Thanks, Jason. And yeah, no, it's good, great news that it's out there. And if you use those things, please, please retweet. Okay. I wanted to talk about two things. One is I added a Team Compass issue about hosting this call. So I was ill for the last two calls, and I asked the mailing list for the JupyterLab Council for help. But really, I would like it if we had a group of hosts. I think I can't remember how long it's been that I've been the default host on this call, but it wasn't always this way, and it doesn't always have to remain this way. So I know that Andrew had been writing a guide. I don't know if there was a public link to it, but if there is, Andrew, could you please link it in that issue?
There is none, but I can publish it and add it to the notes after the call pretty fast. I don't have it at the moment.
Okay, great. So okay, so that's a resource to help someone who isn't exactly sure what hosting this call requires, but it's not a heavyweight commitment. I'm sure you've noticed. Yeah, I mean, my intuition is to initially ask the JupyterLab Council, but really, if there's someone who is interested in doing this and they're not on the council, it's a great way to get involved. That's fine, actually. I don't think that should be a barrier. But if you are interested in occasionally doing this, or often doing this, or every single time doing this, any combination of wanting to host this call, please chime in on that issue, and maybe then a group of us can meet and talk about how to either create a rota schedule, or maybe have a sort of strategy, like X number of us are always going to be on the call and we tell each other when we're not around, or something like that. I'm not sure. I'm not exactly sure what the mechanism ought to be. And, you know, I'm happy to be the stopgap until we sort it out. But I am once again formally registering this request to please let's more than just me host this. Any questions, comments?
I kind of like the idea of having a rotation of 2 or 3 people who would host it. I feel like that's usually a better mechanism than just putting out a call for volunteers, because as you've experienced, that's, while well-intentioned, usually leads to one person hosting it by default most of the time. So having a rotation might be good. The important thing with a rotation is pinging the person a couple days before, and as Andrew notes, everyone has to have accessibility to the Project Jupyter account, which I do, but I think most people don't.
Yeah, so, okay, two things there. One is the call that I'm putting out for volunteers is who wants to be in a group that we do that with, not ad hoc, just bringing up. So basically, who are those, X number of people? And that's right. So Project Jupyter uses a shared 1Password group account. And so anyone who wants to do this, we can give them access to the Zoom account to do it. The only weirdness about that is that sometimes, because we are located in multiple places, the Zoom account wants to do two-factor authentication, and that two-factor authentication is with the Project Jupyter Gmail account.
Yep.
So I am not sure how we get around that yet, but that is a solvable problem. And if we don't know how to solve it, we can ask maybe somebody from the security group for help. But I don't think that's a barrier.
I was able to, because my 1Password access includes access to the Gmail account. So I was able to log in, then hop over to Gmail, get the code, enter the code. It adds complexity, but it did work for me. But it's increasing the surface area of the 1Password, which is a potential security concern, I know.
Yeah, so what we might do is create a dedicated email account for the Zoom account so that everyone can have access to that without using the account that might be the email address that backs several other services that we do. I think the security model there is to not have the one email address that you can use to reset multiple accounts, and to instead have a safer one that's dedicated to Zoom. So yeah, I think, like I said, it's solvable. And as soon as we run into these issues, we can handle them one by one. Okay. I'm sorry for the background noise. My second point, I linked to this issue about virtual scrolling. So as you may know, in JupyterLab 4, the default view of a notebook is not to use the virtual scroll bar. And there's a lot of thought that has gone into how to implement virtual scrolling on a notebook. Multiple passes at this problem have been taken, with the most recent being Fred's implementation. And I have been looking into this and looking to see how to improve the user experience. Oh my God, that's very loud. I'm so sorry. If you have an example of virtual scrolling that you want to suggest I look at as I'm working on this, or if you have strong feelings about this, or weak feelings about this, or any feelings.
Darian, your audio is getting rather distorted by the background noise. You may have to speak more directly into the mic.
Okay. The background noise has just stopped. Let me finish as quickly as I can.
Okay.
Please chime in on this issue. If you have something you want to bring up right now to talk about it, I'm happy to have a short conversation about it. But I know this is a big topic, and maybe no one has immediate thoughts on it right now. But I'll wait a minute on that before moving on. Okay, I see how it is. Let's move on to Fred.
Hello, everybody. I'm back. A bit more tired, but I'm back. So I just wanted to ask about the follow-ups following the release of JupyterLab and thanks for the community for doing the release. So I can start by the bottom. So the language package, they have been released. They also contains the the string from notebook master. So that means also they contain the internationalization for the coming notebook v7, just to let know people that are working on that project. The extension examples, most of them are almost all of them are done. The challenging one was the collaborative document example. I have updated the code, it's working, but I'm fighting with the integration test for it. Basically, in the integration test, the actions are done too fast for the collaboration backend. So I have issue that I'm not seeing when I'm doing things manually. Hopefully, I will figure it out quickly. They've been updated on CondaForge 2, Nick. But I have no idea. So Nick on the chat asked if the language pack have been updated on CondaForge. I did it manually because indeed I don't know why the bot never ping us now when there is a new version PyPy for that one. So we need every time to do it manually. But I did it. It may have been like yesterday, on Monday or something like that for CondaForge. Where was I? So the example are almost done. We have a trouble that we are still fighting with the JupyterLab demo project. So for people that are unaware of it, for the binder that we have on READMEs and in lots of places in documentation, we don't use the main branch on the JupyterLab project directly, but we use another repository to get more stable images and avoid building too often. Unfortunately, between the trouble of binder and the trouble of solving the new environment, because it's coming with lots of dependency, we still have not updated that project. Mike has started and worked a lot on that. I don't know if you have comments, Mike, on that specific PR. I mainly have worked on trying to modernize the infrastructure and the CI, but not touching that PR exactly. Let's sometimes if Mike wants to comment on the chat. And then the two other things is we have, yeah, Andrew.
I wanted to mention that even if we will update the demo repo, it still wouldn't be stable, right? Because Binder doesn't have capacity to save to cache images. So it would still attempt to build everything, and it fails like 85% of the time. I think we need to look into like Binder Lite or something like that.
Yeah, if people have time for that. I'm happy to, if people wants to take that. For now, I'm just like taking the shorter path. And I agree, like it's a trouble with Binder. So hopefully we get more stability on Binder side soon. Thanks, Andrew. And so the two latest are about styling. We have the project that's JupyterLab Pigments. It's about bringing the styling from JupyterLab compatible with Pigments. I've seen that Rosio has a PR open. I don't know, do you have time to finish it? What's the status of the PR? As I'm seeing that you are on the call, Rosio. Could you comment?
Yeah, I can follow up with that one. I was having some issues with the actual extension, but I have been able to solve those, so I'm working on updating that PR.
Okay, sure. Thanks a lot. Don't hesitate to ping me on it if you need help or to finish it up. I do my best to push it to the final line.
Oh, thank you.
And also we have a follow-up action that's needed on NB convert. We need to update the style in there, and people at Quantstack will do it. So just to mention it there. Hopefully it's not gonna break too much thing. One of the trouble with NB convert is that in JupyterLab we have changed the structure of the notebook DOM by using a table. So let's see how it goes. Yeah. And if somebody sees other project, I put aside all the extension by purpose, but it's because there are another kind of business. But if people have other projects like that needs update that are not listed there, yeah, don't hesitate to comment either on the chat or directly on the notes, because yeah, we should be sure that we have all those repository insight, and that we do what is needed on them. Then my second point is I would like to do a 4.0x release tomorrow, most likely, mainly to publish the fix for the render MIME interface. So for people that did not follow, with JupyterLab 4, we decided to not break render MIME interfaces. Unfortunately, that package depends on Lumino, and because we bumped Lumino 2 in that, the people that are doing development with JupyterLab 3, they get that version, and so they get crazy errors, and it's complex for them to get a working dev environment. And so there's been a fix pushed. And yeah, skip lip check. You're all good. Yeah, true enough, Nick. But yeah, officially it's a bad practice. So yeah, there is a fix to allow the tool version of Lumino that should fix it. Yeah, true. And the other fix that I want to push is so the upgrades extension script has switched to Copier for JupyterLab 4. There is a new major version, and unfortunately that version changed a bit the API. And so yeah, I needed to push a fix for the upgrade extension. And as for the previous bullet point, if you have additional PRs that you would like to get in that batch release, yeah, just write in the chat or add in the note, and I will try to have a look and see if we can merge more things before doing the release tomorrow. And then my last point is, now that I'm a dad, my bandwidth is a bit smaller. So I decided to remove the performance monthly meeting from the Jupyter calendar because it has been like the last 2 meetings were either canceled or there were nobody. So I remove it from the calendar because, for example, normally there is one after this one, but I'm not able to host that call. So I prefer to be honest to the whole community, and I remove it from the calendar. But if somebody wants to take over that performance meeting as a host, yeah, don't hesitate to contact me, and then we'll spin up the calendar and yeah, update things where they are needed. That's it for me.
Great, thanks, Fred. I don't know if you saw in the chat, but Jason had a suggestion about perhaps revisiting the service that Uffizi offered, maybe not using Binder. I don't know much about CI myself, but yeah.
We briefly tried this out. There was this person who was like opening a lot of pull requests with the proof of concept saying, hey, we're Uffizi, we have this open source project that we sell as a service and we make it available to open source projects for free, you know, clearly kind of a self-serving promotional thing. And we tried it out, and in my observation, Uffizi was super fast, way faster than Binder, because it spun up, I think it spun up an instance every time someone opened a pull request, as opposed to Binder, which spun up an instance when you requested it. The major downsides of Uffizi were, one, the instance was shared. So if I open a pull request and then you, Frederick, mess around with the instance, and then I open the instance, I see your stuff. So it's potentially problematic in that way. And the other is that no one really stepped forward to like maintain the Uffizi instance. So we were a little concerned that the burden of maintaining Uffizi might outweigh the cost. And also at that time, we were pretty happy with Binder. We didn't feel like this was going to be superior to Binder. I think we may want to revisit that decision. What do other people think?
One thing I want to try, but it's also related to the CI being slow, is I would like to use to try to set up the CI on Docker, and that could help also to use other platform like Uffizi by having directly a Docker image that's ready and published somewhere. That could
Okay.
also help. Not saying anything like the trouble for me with Uffizi, especially as you said, because it's sharing the environment, it doesn't seem suitable for linking the equivalent of the JupyterLab demo that should be like kind of very public and shared to the lots of people. And so if
we
I don't know,
wouldn't use it. We wouldn't
Yeah.
use it for a try before you download experience like we do with Binder. I
Yeah,
agree that
exactly.
that's a replacement for that.
But definitely it's, as you said, it may be worth to reconsider, maybe even doing some kind of market analysis to see what's out there. I know Jeremy is maintaining the Gitpod also installation, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Gitpod works pretty. I mean, I use it quite often actually to work on lab, and it works pretty well. But you need to sign in. That's the only issue. It's much harder for anyone to try something. But if you already signed in, then you can review PRs pretty well with this, because you just click on a button and you get redirected to Gitpod. You get a server. You check your thing, and then you just let it stop automatically. So that's one way for sure.
Okay. As an action item for this, I can open a Team Compass issue so that we can discuss this for consideration. Is that all right?
Sounds good. Thanks, Jason.
No problem.
Fred, I think your idea for having a Docker image is really good, because you can imagine a time where we have a crunch and there's something in the CI causing lots of PRs not being merged. And if we have some way of doing that sanity checking on our own machines, you know, even if it's something as crude as posting a screenshot to having run it or something, that might be really good, because right now there isn't a way to get all of the checks that the PR does for you on your own machine. Like, it's just difficult. So if that's something that's on your radar, I think that seems like a really good idea.
Yeah, I try to find time. Yeah, especially because one of the, like, I think the main bottleneck is, aside from the macOS stuff, because the limitation is higher, it's the integration test. And the solution for the integration test is actually you can split the old test in multiple jobs. That's how they do it, like even in the official Playwright package. But the trouble is, like, yeah, if you don't use Docker, if you split the old test like in 10 batches, and for the 10 batches you need to build the image again, yeah, that's not gonna help very much. But I agree, for the offline or like local test also, it would be nice to have a Docker image. Yeah.
Okay, so we don't have anyone else on the agenda. Is there anything you would like to talk about that you maybe did not put on the agenda but are now reconsidering? I'll give you a minute. Okay, cool. I'm going to stop the recording. Brace yourselves.